All right. Hey, everyone. All right. So back to our discussion about our supplementing our competitive strategy, some of the other actions and things that we might take that should align with our strategy, that should help push forward this idea of the value that we provide, the reason that people choose us over another firm's products or services, can really actually be a few other things that we want to focus on. Can really be quite simple ideas, things that you're probably already familiar with, and maybe you just haven't thought about them as a potential strategic option or thought about them in the sense or the framework of our overall strategy. Even simple things such as the act of outsourcing, right? Hopefully most of us are familiar with what outsourcing is really all about, but right, outsourcing is just going to be, hey, can we look around ourselves? Can we find some sort of a activity or something that we do here as a part of the process of creating and making our product and service available to our customers? Is there some other company or group of people that we can have perform those for us so that we don't have to do it ourselves any longer? So essentially, outsourcing is just about us deciding we're going to focus on the scope of our internal operations so that they are only focused on the things we can do best, essentially, right? Those other things, the trivial things, the things that aren't tied to our value creation, can be done by someone else in that sense, so that we can just focus on kind of this idea of how do we just focus on our specialized elements instead of just the generalist elements, right? You always hear this all the time. I'm sure you've heard it throughout being in college that, the world wants specialists, not generalists, right? So people pay for the specialization, the generalization, those elements, those can be things we can have lots of people do. So we want to keep in mind when we talk about outsourcing that while it definitely can be a super appealing thing, we definitely do not ever want to outsource anything that we consider to be like part of our competitive capabilities or our competitive resources and those strengths of ours. We do not ever want to outsource things that are clearly and undeniably tied to, those competitive capabilities or resources or strengths that we have within our company. We have those things for a reason. We want to utilize those, and we want us to be the ones that do those kinds of things. It's the trivial, nonsensical kinds of things that are not necessarily distinctly tied to those capabilities and resources we want other people to do. So outsourcing can be a really advantageous thing for us, right? As long as it doesn't do a few key things. So I kind of hinted at this a second ago, but outsourcing can be really advantageous for us if it means that now, certain activities can be performed better or more cheaply, depending on what our competitive strategy is, right? If we are all about quality, if our distinguishing characteristics, we're a differentiator that's trying to provide, differentiation based off high quality, is having somebody else do something for us because it's cheaper, is that necessarily aligned with the type of value we're providing? Maybe that's not a great strategic, option for us to take. But if we are a cost leader, we can find ways that we can have certain activities or operations done cheaper. Definitely something to consider, right? If outsourcing provides that for us, well, that just might be an avenue for us to strengthen that competitive edge along the lines of cost, and strengthen that value we provide people through our competitive strategy of cost leadership. Now, outsourcing can also allow us, to reduce the risk of kind of like falling victim to certain technology changes or shifts in buyer preferences. Sometimes those things can be pricey for us to do ourselves, like, utilize new technologies that might require a ton of infrastructure change or a lot of investment by us. If we can have somebody outsource certain elements of those things and get it done cheaper, absolutely, that's a value to us, right? We want these things to allow us to concentrate better on our core business. That's the reason that we outsource. Yes, it can be to save money, but it really is so we can concentrate on our core business elements and do them better. We want to keep our competitive advantage intact. We do not ever want to outsource anything that is going to hollow out these core competencies of ours. All these situations really point at outsourcing as being a good option for us. It's a great strategic option a lot of the time. And there are more reasons why we might choose to do it, but the biggest point is we just need to be weary of outsourcing when doing so is going to cause us to give something up that we strongly tie as core to our company. We have to keep those things that are core to our company intact. If our product is what people know us well for, and certain elements about our product, we probably want to be doing those things ourselves. We don't want other people. We don't want them in the hands of other people to diminish or hollow out our competitive competencies or those things that people really tie to their decision making about our company. So another option aside from just outsourcing is obviously this one we talk about an awful lot is vertical integration. Vertically integrating our business. A vertically integrated firm is basically just a firm whose business activities are going to extend across several portions or stages of that industry value chain that we talked about earlier in the semester, right? All of these activities along our industry value chain. If we become, we can either become forward or we can become backward integrated in that sense. And backward vertical integration means that we start entering into activities and doing activities in-house for ourselves that were performed by our suppliers or by other enterprises that might have positioned themselves in earlier stages of our overall value chain. Whereas forward vertical integration is going to involve, we enter into, the industry value chain steps that are located closer to our end users, right? Those activities that are closer to, when we hand this product off to our end user, our distribution, our, marketing, and, maybe just buying straight to selling straight to buyers, excuse me. But whatever we do, right? I have the Walmart thing here. It's been one of the secrets, right, to their success is they become integrated in all levels of this value chain. Therefore, fewer switching off costs, fewer hands that it's switching off between, lower costs. Walmart is definitely a low cost provider. So finding ways to minimize those kinds of costs that, originate from the value chain is extremely important for companies that size. And it's been one of the reasons why they've been so successful is they vertically integrate to the point where they just have so few hands that their products are change hands between from start to finish. They're able to just save tons of money in the process. So much like outsourcing, is it always good to vertically integrate? No, probably not, right? But vertical integration can do great things for us, right? On the positive side, it can really help strengthen our competitive position if getting vertically integrated to one of these steps along our value chain really does add value that, here's the kicker, aligns with our competitive strategy, right? Like I was saying before, if we're getting involved in some process that isn't, providing added value along the lines of what makes us valuable to our customers, it's probably not a good idea for us. But, if we're a low cost provider and getting involved in another step of our value chain is going to lower costs, isn't that aligning with our competitive strategy? Hell yeah, it is. So be a great idea, hopefully, for us, right? It can boost our profitability as long as we can justify that extra investment, which oftentimes we usually can with vertical integration, so long as the step we get involved in isn't so costly it negates those savings for us or puts us in a really dire short-term situation where we, basically are pinching pennies and finding ourselves in kind of a vulnerable position where we could be attacked by our competitors. So, but vertical integration also can do some not so flattering things, of course. It can increase our risk of basically falling victim to doing too many things that we're not great at. We might lock ourselves into situations, that we don't want to be in long term. They actually would have only been like advantageous for us in the short term, and now we're on the hook. We've invested all of this money in them. It honestly can make us a lot less flexible sometimes, in our ability to pivot and move into new areas, because now we're super invested in some of these investments we have to make in order to get vertically integrated. And sometimes it spreads us too thin. We have to develop too many capabilities. All of a sudden, this whole thing, it seems like we're a serious juggling match that we can't keep up with. So understanding where the cutoff is for our balancing act is really important. And that's just a subjective call we have to make at businesses, but understanding that sometimes there is such a thing as trying to do too much, right? So vertical integration can be good or bad. It just really depends. It depends on how easy it is for us to acquire or develop the capabilities that we need in order to get vertically integrated. It depends on how big those benefits are going to be for us, how it impacts our flexibility, and how much doing so is actually going to enhance our competitiveness and profitability. Because if those things are marginal at best, maybe vertical integration isn't our best option in that situation.